We are all bombarded by advertising on a daily basis, and the goal of the advertising is to convince us that we have a need that isn't being filled that this company can fill. Hello everyone, welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet. The reason I make these videos is to help people to understand that your mental health and physical health come together to create your overall sense of well-being. We buy the latest cell phone, latest car, the latest fashion, and the question is, why do we do that? Well, we need to feel like we fit in. We need to feel like we're part of the crowd, like we're cool, like we're part of the group. Or at least that's what advertisers push us to believe. And the problem isn't that advertisers are trying to teach us that, it's that we're actually learning it. You know, I remember my daughter's, I think, third birthday or second birthday, killing myself to get a Tickle Me Elmo. And I was successful. I did get one of those Tickle Me Elmos that could flip around on the floor and laugh and then get up by itself. And she played with it for probably a month. But we get pulled into this story that if we don't have the latest thing, the most fashionable thing, the coolest thing for our kids, somehow we're not doing what we're supposed to do. Now, the problem that I have, because you know what, I really don't mind having an old cell phone, but it is kind of nice to have the newer one just because it tends to work better. But the problem that I have is what happens when the advertising that we're talking about is creating a circle that starts with what we eat, but ends in poor health, because the circle is pushing us towards certain bad behaviors that lead us to a cascade of other bad behaviors that lead us to a cascade of need that lead us to poor health. What happens when that's what's happening? Well, unfortunately, I see this happening. And it's happening to children. So it's happening to younger and younger people. And they don't have the ability to understand why they shouldn't want these things that they're being told they should want. But it also happens to us adults. And we should know better. And yet clearly we don't. I'm talking about the need that has been created for sugary foods and unhealthy oils. These two products or types of products lead to poor health. I want to point out, and if anybody actually pays attention to this, I want you to comment below if you've noticed this trend, because it's a trend that I have noticed. I don't watch television very often. I watch television when I go to my parents' place or when I go to my brother's place. Other than that, I really don't watch television. But what I have noticed is that when I do go to my brother's place or my parents' place and I'm watching TV, it is rare that I see a commercial for a vegetable or a piece of meat. Most of the commercials for food that I see are about cereals, about bread, about snacks and candies. And if I do see a commercial for a vegetable, it's not for it. If I do see a commercial that has a vegetable or a piece of meat in it, it's actually a commercial for a grocery store. I cannot tell you the last time I saw, or if I've ever seen a commercial that was just advertising a vegetable. When you see a commercial for a restaurant, it's usually a fast food restaurant. And again, if I do see a commercial where there was a nice looking piece of meat in a high-end restaurant, you're talking about for every one of those commercials, I would probably see like 17 or 18 fast food restaurant commercials. What's happening here? When we do shop at the grocery store, the other thing that we notice is that the bulk of the grocery store is processed food. So, of course, if we do our little trip around the edge of the grocery store, 100% you're going to find fresh vegetables, you're going to find fresh meats. But that doesn't even take up the complete exterior of the grocery store. So think about this. If you actually pay attention to your grocery store, you're going to have, when you enter, usually it's near the front, it starts off on one side, vegetables, and then meats nearer to the back. If you say the perimeter is 3 sides of a cube, you can probably get to the one side and then maybe a quarter, and then the rest of it becomes either frozen foods and processed foods again. You also, okay, along the back you will have the cheeses and the milk. But like I said, it's not even the full perimeter. What's happening there? The bulk of the store is processed foods, ice cream and frozen stuff along the edges, frozen pizzas. The middle of the store is all of the dried goods, but again, processed foods. Most of our grocery stores, most of our advertising, and oh, by the way, at the front of the grocery store when you're at the checkout, all of the candy and things that our children are going to want to eat that they shouldn't be eating right at the cash as you're leaving. No, I'm not going to lie. Things that I would have wanted to eat when I was 2 or 3 years ago, right at the cash when you're leaving, the chocolate bars and other unhealthy foods that we shouldn't be eating. What's happening there? It's marketing, it's strategy. Put the carby foods in our face. Make sure that the majority of the store is carby foods that we will feel compelled to eat. And make sure that the carby foods are the foods that are on special. What's happening here? Okay, so the first thing I'm trying to help people to see is that the majority of the food that does go on special, quote unquote, so we get discounts on the foods that are unhealthy for us. We get discounts on the foods that are going to cause us to gain weight. Most processed foods are high in carbohydrates. Well, what's the next part of this chain that I feel like I'm seeing? Well, the next part of the chain is the need for diet foods and workout gyms. So diet foods and gyms are about losing weight. So we push the foods that cause us to gain weight to turn around and sell foods that are aimed at weight loss. And my first question to you wouldn't it have been easier to just not eat the foods that would cause us to gain weight in the first place? But that's not what's pushed. Let's be clear. When was the last time that meat was on special? And I don't just mean a few cents off. I mean on special the way that cereal goes on special. On special the way that you can get bread 2 for 1. When was the last time that you saw meat or vegetables on that type of a special? It doesn't happen very often unless they're close to spoiling. So unless the store doesn't want to have to throw the food away, we can't get it on special. The healthy food. And then for most people, when you look at a food that looks like it's on its last legs, well, I'd rather pay full price for the healthy stuff because I know I'm not going to be able to eat all of that. I digress. That's just me, perhaps. We push foods that cause us to gain weight and then turn around and push foods that are meant to help us to lose weight. We push foods that cause us to gain weight and then turn around and push gyms where we're supposed to work out to lose weight. And the foods that they push for weight loss, unfortunately, sometimes when you look at the ingredients, sometimes when you look at the carb count, are not actually going to help us to lose weight. Now let's talk about that for a moment. Why would a company sell you a weight loss food that's not going to help you to lose weight? The example I'll give you are sugar-free candies that have, for example, maltitol in them. Well, maltitol creates the same reaction for our insulin as a regular candy would. What's the point then of eating the sugar-free candy? Things that are labeled sugar-free but are still high in carbohydrates. So labeled sugar-free as if they're good for you on a weight loss journey, as if they're good for you on a diabetic even journey, which could be really, really dangerous for someone who's diabetic. And yet they have other types of sugar added to them. So on the label, you'll see things like corn syrup. On the label, you'll see things like words ending in ose. So when we have glucose, fructose, galactose, those are just other words for sugar. So we'll see chemical names for sugar. So again, you have to ask yourself, if these products are supposed to help us to lose weight, if these products are supposed to help us manage our diabetes, then why would they have sugar or sugar substitutes that still cause us to react like sugar in them? I'm not sure. I don't have an answer for this. I'm just pointing out to you that if I eat something that's going to have the same reaction as sugar, then my body will behave as if I ate sugar, which means that it will store energy that's coming in. And if my body is storing energy that's coming in, it stores it as fat. And so therefore, even though this thing is claiming to be sugar-free or low carb, or it's claiming to have not low carb, but claiming to be low in calories, if it's still high in carb or reacts the same in my body as sugar, I still end up storing. And so therefore, I don't lose any weight. And so therefore, am I now in a loop of eating these foods that are supposed to help me to lose weight, but yet not losing? And oftentimes, I believe that this is the frustration that leads people to lose their interest in losing weight. So these are the processes that help people to give up on their weight loss journey, because the things that they're eating that are supposed to help them to lose weight are not working. But these are also the things that help people to be in a process of eating these foods over and over. So I keep buying them in this effort to lose weight, but yet I'm not losing weight. Now, the food companies, in this particular case, because these are usually food companies, are marketing to us that because we're overweight, we need these foods, and yet they don't seem to be doing what they're supposed to do. Okay. But then we move forward further in this process because, of course, if I don't end up losing the weight, I might end up in the story where now I have a need for medication because I've actually gotten to the point where I didn't lose the weight. I continued to have insulin reactions to the food I was eating, and now maybe I'm diabetic. I continued to have increased metabolic issues. Maybe I have a heart issue. So now I'm into the situation where I'm being proposed medications to solve the issues that I've been having with food. And it's not just about the metabolic issues. Sometimes before we get there, there are companies that market to us medications towards diminishing your weight. So for example, diet pills. So for example, certain supplements that are towards weight loss. So for example, medical interventions that are towards weight loss. All of these things that are marketed towards us as options if we haven't been able to use food to lose weight. But remember, use food to lose weight, but we're starting with the foods that are pushed towards us are the foods that cause us to gain. The diet foods that are pushed towards us often don't help. So now we're at medications and interventions that are medical. Okay? I want everyone to understand that priorities need to be set. So what that means is when you have money in your hand, there needs to be decision as to where the money is going to go. And for example, when I'm buying food, I can take a decision that my money goes towards buying healthy food, or I can take a decision that some of that money is going towards buying unhealthy food. Now, if I take the decision that some of that money is going towards buying unhealthy food and then I eat it, I'm taking a decision that I will be somewhat unhealthy. Now, that could mean I gain weight. That could mean I have metabolic issues. That could mean a multitude of things. I need to understand that we need to set priorities. If I don't set my priorities, other people will. So if I don't set my priorities, the food companies will set the priority. If I don't set my priorities, the weight loss industry will set my priorities. If I don't set my priorities, the doctors will set my priorities. Because if I don't set my priorities from the outgo of what kind of food I'm eating and I follow what they put on special, I'm pushing myself towards carby foods. If I don't set my priorities and say I'm willing to spend more and buy the foods that are healthy but not on special, and I eat these foods that are on special, even though they seem like a cost-effective purchase, they're not. Purchasing the foods that might cost a bit more but fuel my body better, take me further in one fueling and fuel my body better, is a better choice for me, because when I choose low carb, healthy foods, vegetables, and meats, then I'm actually going to be able to go further with that food than if I ate some cereal, or ate some bread, or ice cream or any of these other foods over here that are processed, I will need to eat more of them because that's part of the point, right? They want you to buy them so you become addicted to them, so you eat more of them, so you eat more of them, so you eat more of them. That's why these foods don't go on special. These ones do. They need you to be eating them. If I don't set my priority and choose healthy food, the food companies choose the priority for me and they put unhealthy foods in front of me. And then if I don't set my priority and choose healthy food, they will then set another priority of weight loss through their products. And if I continue to allow companies to set my priorities, I end up on this path towards medication and possibly towards surgery, or possibly towards living a diabetic life, living a cardiovascularly compromised life, living with medical issues. It's really important for you to set your own priorities. If you don't set your priorities, someone else will set them for you. Make sure that you're the one setting your priorities. It's normal for advertisers to find a need and fill it. The question is, are you allowing there to be a need that's being filled by them because you're not setting your own priorities? I really hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, please subscribe. Don't forget to click the bell so you know when my next video is coming out. I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, and I will talk to you in the next video.